Good morning, everyone. I'm Najma Seher, lecturer in Business Studies, Vishwamanapaya College, Chitradurga. So, dear student, we were discussing the fourth chapter of your syllabus, that is Business Services. In that, in previous videos, we have discussed regarding the concept of business services as well as the types of business services. Particularly, we were discussing about the business services. Okay, so here the services which is used by the business organization are the business enterprises or the business firms. Those services will be called as a business services. In particularly, we have seen about the banking services. It is banking is also a service, okay, which is used by the business organization or business enterprises. As you know about the bank, what exactly the bank is, what are the functions of bank, what are the importance of having banks in our country, that we have seen in a last videos. And as well as we also seen the types of banks available. Okay, we have a central bank, cooperative banks, commercial banks, specialized banks. These are the different types of banks which are available that we have discussed in a last videos. In today's video, we are going to discuss one more important concept called insurance. Before discussing about the insurance, let me tell you about the benefits of e-banking. In last video, we have just discussed the types available in internet banking as well as the meaning of internet bank we have seen. What are the benefits which is available for us, okay, by going through the emerging trend, that is e-banking. E-banking is nothing but electronic banking, as you already know, net banking we will say, okay. So e-banking is just, it is a simple term, we can say internet banking means any user with having the internet connection, with having the your personal computer's browser, you can get connected with the different banks website, and you can perform the different functions, and you can avail the different bank services. Okay, here there is a no need of human operator, human or manual service is not required. Anytime, at any point of time, at anywhere, you can make a transaction, or you can avail the functions of a bank. That is called as a e-banking. Okay, so e-banking, in this we have very important categories called non-digital, digital transfer of funds. Okay, like we have neft, we have rtgs, we have that we have seen in a last video itself. Okay, today let us discuss the benefits which is available for us if we go for the electronic banking. The first and foremost important what we are finding here is transparency. So here one more benefit what we derive from the e-banking is transparency in our transaction. Okay, so e-banking facilitates the digital payments as well as the, it also promotes the transparency in the financial statement. Transparency in the sense we are clear about what we are doing. Okay, so we know, okay, there is a nothing confidential to be maintained. Okay, that is what we say, transparency, what we are doing, okay, how much we are sending, what are the amount we are receiving, to whom we are sending, that all we come to know with the help of e-banking. Okay, that is what transparency. Okay, we know our financial statements clearly, that is what transparency. And number two, second advantage or benefit what we derive from the e-banking is 24 into 7 services. Okay, so this e-banking provides 24 hours, 365 days a year services to the customers of a bank. Okay, as you know that there is a no holiday for us. Okay, when we go for the payment or receipts of our amount to our account, okay, from the different holders, okay, where anytime anywhere we can send or we can receive the amount with the help of e-banking. Okay, we need not to wait in the queue, okay, in order to make a payment and receipts, okay, like in a traditional banking system we had. Okay, so such tradition has been gone now with the help of the new trends. Okay, that is what 24 into 7, any point of time you can receive or you can send the amount. That is what services provided by the e-banking. Next one is financial discipline. What is financial discipline here is This e-banking inculcates the sense of financial discipline. It will develop the financial discipline among ourselves by recording the each and every transaction. By maintaining each and every transaction details, it will give you a financial discipline. Financial discipline is nothing but how much amount you are sending to whom, at which date, okay, at which time you are sending or you are receiving amount, what are the service you are providing, for what purpose you have made a payment, that all will be recorded in a e transaction. That is what financial discipline. Next one is consumer satisfaction. So here, with the help of e-banking, there will be a greater satisfaction for the consumers, as it offers unlimited access to the banks. Okay, different banks we can access. Okay, it is not limited to the particular branch or particular wall, and it also reduces the risk. Okay, even it will provide you a security to the customer, and even it will avoid to carry the huge amount of cash. Okay, so we need not to maintain a cash with us. Okay, just with the help of e-banking, it reduces the risk, and it will give you a high security, and even avoids the traveling with the cash. It also avoids the travel by having a cash with ourselves. That is what a customer satisfaction we say. Convenience in the self, the last one is convenience. Convenience means what here? So customer can make some permitted transaction from the house, from the offices, from the traveling, anywhere you may be, you can receive or you can make a payment. That is what we say convenience. Convenient means the self, just through the mobile, by sitting at a home, you are making a payment. Okay, you are purchasing, you are ordering. That is what we say convenience. These are all is happening with the help of e-facilities, that is called electronic banking or internet banking. That is what the benefits. Transparency. Transparency means everything will be clear to you. There is a no doubt. Okay, in the transaction, what you are doing. Okay, that will all you know. Next one is 24/7 services. Okay, it will give you a 24-hour services, 365 days per year. Okay, there will be a no holidays, nothing like that. Next one is financial discipline. By recording each and every transaction, the details of each and every transaction, it will maintain the financial discipline. Customer satisfaction, as it avoids the traveling with the cash, it reduces the risk, it will provide you the security, greater degree of securities to the consumers, and even you can have access with the different banks or different branches. That is what consumer satisfaction. Next one is convenience. Anywhere you may be, by sitting at the home, by office, by traveling, just with the help of your mobile phone, with the help of your PCs, you can make a payment or you can receive the amount. That is what a convenience. This is what the benefits of e-banking. So the services used by the business enterprise as business organization and even individual will also use the service called insurance. As you are all aware about the insurance, you all are heard about the insurance, what exactly the insurance is. So as you know that life is a full of uncertainty. Okay, life is a full of uncertainty. We doesn't have a knowledge about the future happenings. Okay, what is going to happen in a coming days, future happenings, we have no knowledge regarding that. Okay, whatever the risk, there are number of risks like death of an individual, disability of human being. Okay, fire, loss of goods, loss of properties. Okay, this leads to a losses for the individual and even the loss for the organization. Okay, which leads to the greater loss. Okay, sometimes these losses or whatever the loss we face, it is beyond our capacity to bear. Okay, so in order to recover or in order to minimize such losses, okay, minimize the impact of uncertainty, there is a need of insurance. Okay, so thus insurance is a device, okay, which is used to recover the losses what we are facing in a future days that we are facing in a coming days. In order to recover those losses, we are using the a device is called as a insurance. Okay, so here is the meaning of insurance. As you know that insurance is a contract. It is a contract or a agreement. It is a contract or agreement under which, under the agreement, one party, okay, under the agreement, one party, one individual agrees in return for the consideration. One party agrees, okay, one part agrees in return for the consideration to pay a agreed amount of money to the another party. To another party agree to pay some certain amount, okay, to make a loss, a damage to something of value in which insured is interested, okay, the in which the person is having peculiar interested as a result of some uncertain events. Okay, the main things you have to remember here is one is a insurer, another one is insured. Insurer means a company or the insurance company, okay, who is going to recover your losses, risk, who is minimizing your risk is called as a insurer or the insurance company. Next one is insured. Insured means a person or organization covered by the insurance. Okay, I may make a insurance, you can make agreement of insurance. Okay, that insured will be called as a person or individual. So basically the insurance is a legal agreement. It is a agreement between two parties. It is a agreement between two parties whereby one party agree, okay, one party give his consent, okay, he will say agreement, yes, I'm ready to make a insurance, I'm ready to recover my risk if anything happen in a future days. Okay, he will make a he give a consent, okay, he agrees in consideration for certain consideration, that is what we say premium amount. For certain premium amount, you as a insurance company, you have to cover or recover my risk, whatever the risk I am going to face in a future days, that you have to cover. That is what one party agrees in return for consideration, in return for certain consideration to pay a agreed amount of money. One party will pay you certain amount, that is what the insured person, the individual, okay, he is promises, he will give his agreement, he will give his consent for making a payment of premium, okay, to the another party. The another party is nothing but the insurer, the company, to make a loss or damage to something of value in which insured is interest. Okay, in case if anything happens, okay, if damage is happening, if you suffer losses, okay, if you lost your properties or anything of which is having individual is having a interest in such, okay, due to the uncertainty or due to the some uncertain events, if anything happen, as an insurance company, that is the another party, I am promising you that I am going to recover the losses, I am there to share your risk. That is what the agreement is all about. So insurance is nothing but it is a legal agreement between the parties, between the two parties. The two parties are nothing but the insurer and the insured. The insurer means the company, the insurance company. The insured means a person or individual. So in this legal contract or in this agreement, the insurance company, that is what the another party, that is what insurer, okay, the company promise, he will give a promise to make a good the losses of the insured on the happening of the insured contingency. Okay, I am as a company, I am promise you that if you suffered any losses, if you suffer any damage of goods and services due to the uncertainty or due to the contingencies, if you suffered any losses, I am promising you that I am going to recover such losses. So in order to recover such losses, you need to pay, you in the sense the insured person, you have to give me certain consideration. Certain consideration is nothing but certain money, amount, that is what we say, the premium amount you have to pay me on a regular basis. On the regular basis you have to pay certain amount. At the time of contingencies, I am there for you to recover such losses. That is what we say agreement, or you can say a policy. That is what the meaning of insurance. Now let us discuss the important functions of a insurance. What are the functions which is performed by the insurance? There are the various functions. These are the very important functions which insurance is having. Next, first one is providing certainty. Uncertainty, certainty. Certainty means what? We know what is going to happen. Okay, certain. It is a certain. Death is a certain. Okay, truth. That is what we say, certain. Uncertainty, we doesn't know what is going to happen. So this insurance will give you certainty of the amount. Okay, so providing certainty means what? Insurance provides certainty of payment. Okay, as I told you in the meaning itself, that when once you have an agreement between the insurance company, the insurance company promise you for the payment or for the recovery of losses. So it give you a guarantee, it give you assurance that for the payment of risk of losses, whatever the risk of losses you suffered, that will be paid by the insurance company. There are uncertainties of happening of time and the amount of losses. Uncertainty of time and uncertainty of losses. You may suffer huge losses. On that case, the insurance will remove those certainties, uncertainties, and assures the individual or the business organization the receipt of a payment of losses. The insurance charges, that is the company will charges a premium for providing the certainties. As I told you in the meaning itself, that the insurance company promise you to recover your risk only when the individual or when the company ready to make a consideration. That is what a premium. So providing uncertainty means what here? The insurance company will give you guarantee, it will assures you the payment of a loss amount, whatever the whatever the loss you have suffered. Okay, whatever the risk of loss you are facing, that loss will be covered by the insurance company. It will give you a guarantee that you are going to receive your payment of losses. Those losses will be recovered, or those uncertainty will be recovered by the insurance company only when the individual or when the organization make a premium amount. Okay, when you pay a premium amount, then only it will provide you the certainty of payment of your losses. Clear? That is what providing certainty. Providing that certainty is, in simple word we can say that the insurance company give you assurance, that it guarantees that if you suffer losses, you are going to receive the amount from the company side, insurance company side. Okay, you can recover your losses by having the amount. That is what it give you guarantee. So they are going to give a guarantee on the condition that the common condition that a individual must pay a amount, certain consideration they have to pay. That consideration or that amount is nothing but we say premium. If you provide premium, you will have a guarantee that you are going to receive the amount from the insurance company on happening of certain events. That certain events is nothing but if you suffered any uncertainties or any losses, any damages, on that time you are going to receive the payments. That is what providing certainty. Next one is protection. The second very important function of insurance is to provide protection from the probable chances of losses. Okay, the contingencies in the sense it may happen, it may not happen. Uncertainty means in future you may lose or you may earn the profit. That is what contingencies are probable of chances of loss. It gives you or it protects you, it provides you protection from the probable chances of losses. As insurance company cannot stop the happening of the risk or happening of any events, but it can compensate for the losses arises out of it. Okay, whatever the loss you suffer in the future days, it cannot mitigate, it cannot eliminate the entire your losses. Okay, it cannot eliminate the risk of losses or uncertain event, but it will help you, it will support you on by compensate in that sense, by giving certain amount on the happening of such events, it will protect you. That is what protection. Next function is risk sharing. On the happening of the risky event, on the happening of any uncertain events, the losses is shared by all the person exposed to it. Okay, so in agreement, there are two parties to agree. Okay, who are involved in the agreement, they are going to share the risk of losses arrive to it. Okay, that is what sharing of risk. Next one is assist in the capital formation. Very important function it is. The very important function of insurance is it assists in capital formation. As you know about the capital formation. Okay, the accumulated funds of the insurer received by the way of premium payments. Okay, whatever the premium amount received by the insurance company from the individual or from the company or from the organization, those premium amount, those funds, it will be accumulated, and those payment will be invested in a various income generating avenues. In various schemes, they are going to invest our premium amount. By investing, they will receive the interest on that investment. Likewise, they will promote in the capital formation of a country. This is what the major four function performed by the insurance company. First is providing certainty, protection, risk bearing, assist in a capital formation. Very important question it is. It will be asked for the 4 marks. Whatever I have just explained you, make a note of it. Okay, next we are going to discuss the now let us discuss the principles of insurance. Very important from the point of your examination. This particular question will be asked for the 8 marks. It is a 8 marks question. Okay, be careful. Whatever the doubts you have, you can make a clarification by calling me. Okay, principles of insurance. There are the 7 principles of insurance are there. The principles of insurance are the rules or regulations or the conduct which is adopted by the insurance company or the insurance business. Okay, the stakeholders who are involved in a business of insurance, they are going to follow certain rules and regulations. They are having certain code of conduct, that is called as a principles. These principles are very important to called a agreement to be a valid or legal agreement. Okay, that is what principles of insurance. The first principle is principle of utmost good faith. We called it as a urgere fidei. Okay, we called it as a urgere, UBERRIMAEFIDEI. That is what urgere fidei. That is what this particular principle, a contract of insurance is a contract, okay, or a contract found on utmost good faith. Okay, so here the parties to the insurance, that is the both the party, that is the insurer and the insured, should have a good faith towards each other. They should have a trust on each other. That is what utmost good faith. This particular principle says that the parties to the agreement, the parties to the insurance agreement are the policies. That is, the parties are the individual as well as the company, the insured and the insurer. Both the parties to the insurance should have a good faith, should have a trust, should believe on each other. They should display the good faith towards each other regarding the contract, regarding the agreement. That is first point. So next point, what this principle is saying, that both the parties should disclose all the facts, whatever the facts, whatever the information is there, whatever the details of agreement is there, that should be explained clearly by the insurance company to the insured person, and the insured person should give detailed information, each and every information about the property on which you are making a insurance. Okay, full information, okay, full accurate disclosure of all the facts, materials, risk being proposed, and the insurer to make clear all about the terms and condition. So first thing is, both the parties of the insurance or both the parties of the contract will have a trust on each other, will have a good faith towards each other. That is one point. Next point means, both the parties, that is the individual as well as the company, both should disclose the information. Accurate, correct information should be disclosed. Okay, and even the company should explain the terms and condition, what are the rules and regulations will be there, that has to explain by the company. And the individual on which you are making insurance, clear or full detailed information you have to describe, you have to give. It is required by the both the parties to disclose all the information correctly and voluntary. No one should hide any information. In case if any information given by the insurance company or which is given by the individual, if any information is misleading, if any information is wrong, or due to that hidden information, if you suffered any losses, in such case that particular contract, that particular agreement will be considered as a illegal. Okay, it is a voidable. You cannot sue case against the any individual. That is what the first principle says. The first principle says about the three things. First one is, both the parties, that is insurance company as well as the individual, both should have a trust on each other. Okay, next point what they are saying, both the parties should disclose the correct information. Insurance company should say clear about the terms and condition about the policy, what is our rules, what are the regulations, that clearly have to mention. And even the person have to give a accurate information about the property on which you are making insurance. Clear fact, material fact you have to disclose. If either the parties, if two parties may give a mislead information, or if any party hides the material information, due to that misleading or false information, if you suffered any losses, okay, in such case that particular contract, that particular policy will be considered as a voidable at the discretionary of the insurer. At the discretionary of insurance, it will be considered as a voidable contract. That is what at most good faith. The next principle is principles of insurable interest. So the principles of insurable interest means, okay, the parties to the insurance, okay, the parties to the insurance, that is what the insured will have a peculiar interest in the subject matter of the insurance contract. Okay, so here the insured, that is the person, should have a interest in a subject matter on which you are making a insurance. Okay, you should be very careful in maintaining your property, okay, in saving from the losses of your property. That is what insurable interest. Insurable interest in the sense, the parties to the insurance, that is the person, show his interest in the subject matter in the nothing but the goods, it may be the property, it may be on which you have a made a insurance. Okay, insurable interest means peculiar interest in the subject matter of the insurance contract. The insured must have an interest, okay, the person should have an interest in preserving of the things, okay, safeguarding of the things. Okay, you should not leave the items, you should not leave the goods, or you should not lead your property. Okay, likewise you need to take a corrective measures in order to safeguard such interest. That is what insurable. Third principle is principles of indemnity. Very important thing you have to remember here, make a note of it. The principles of indemnity will be applicable only to the contracts of fire or marine insurance. Okay, it will applicable to the fire insurance as well as the marine insurance, but this particular insurance or this particular principle of insurance is not applicable for the life insurance. It is not applicable to the life insurance, but it is applicable to the fire insurance as well as the marine insurance. So this particular principle of indemnity says that, okay, the insurer undertakes to compensate. The company is ready to make a payment, okay, which is suffered for the insured due to the losses, due to the damages, due to the destructions of property, whatever the losses that a person is suffered, the company promises to pay only when the whatever the losses you have suffered, that losses will be measured in terms of money. Say for example, you have 100 units of goods, 100 products you have. Out of 100 units you have, okay, due to the fire, due to the damages or leakages, whatever the destructions you have suffered, due to that uncertainty you have lost 100 units of goods. Okay, you have suffered the loss of 50 units out of 100 units. Okay, so this company is going to repay your amount. Okay, the company, insurance company, is going to make a compensation not on a whole property, instead on the property on which you have suffered losses. Say for example, out of 100 you have suffered 50 units of goods. Okay, they will measure those loss of goods, okay, in terms of money. In terms of money they will suffer what is the market value of that particular good. They will measure it and they will give you amount. Okay, but it is not going to give overall the goods. Okay, whatever the losses you have suffered, only on that they are going to compensate. That is what the principles of indemnity. Next is what? Principle of contribution. Principle of contribution is nothing but a very important. So this particular principle implies that in case of double insurance, if any individual had make a insurance policy, okay, he has an agreement with the two insurance company on the same subject matter, on same property, if we have made a double insurance, the insurers, okay, the insurers are share the losses in same proportion. Okay, so here principle of contribution says that if any individual had a double policy, double insurance policy, say for example, I have a big bungalow. On bungalow I have made a insurance policy. Okay, in order to in order to recover the risk of future, I have a insurance policy, have made up insurance policy with the two insurance companies. One is SBI company, another one is HDFC. These are the two companies. With them I have opened a insurance on a same property. That is what we say double insurance. So here the insurance company, that is SB and HDFC, what they will say is they will share the losses. If in case in future if I suffer the losses, they will share the losses in the proportion of our premium. Whatever the premium amount I am going to pay, based upon that they are going to share the losses of distraction or the risk of losses they are going to face. Okay, if a person, that is what, if a insured person, if he recover the amount, if he recover the lost amount from the one insurance company, then he is not eligible to recover his lost amount from the another company. It means I suffered the loss. Okay, I have suffered the loss of 1 lakh rupees. Okay, I have made a double insurance policy on a particular project. Okay, I suffered in that project, I suffered the loss of 1 lakh rupees. This 1 lakh rupees I may receive from the both companies. Okay, both the companies, based upon the premium payment, based upon the amount of payment I have, amount of consideration I have given, or I may receive the 1 lakh rupees of loss from the one company. Say for example, I am receiving 1 lakh rupees overall losses from the HDFC but not from the SBI. In such case I am not eligible. I have no right to recover my losses from the SBI, because I have recovered all my losses from the one particular company. Then in that case, the right to receive the losses from the another insurance company will be ceases. Once I received the full loss amount or full consideration compensation from the one insurance company, then I have no right to receive the same loss from the another company. That is what the principles of contribution says. Okay, next one is the principle of subrogation. The principle of subrogation is nothing but it principle says that this particular principle refers to right of insurer, that is what the right of a company to stand in the place of insured. Okay, it will take the ownership of a property, of a goods, after making a payment of compensation, after making a payment of losses to the insured. This particular insurance company will take the right of ownership over the goods, over the property after settlement of a claims. As far as the right of insured in the respect of recovery from the alternative sources involved, if the recovery of the amount, recovery of the loss is involved, recovery of is involved in a number of or multiples of individuals are involved in that. Okay, in that case, the principal, the insurance company will be act as a owner of property. They will stand on behalf of the insured, that is on behalf of individual. They will recover the claims. Okay, they will recover the losses from the different individuals, and it will take a insurance company will take the possession of a ownership of a goods after making a compensation, after making a payment for the losses suffered by the individual. They will take the right of ownership of a property and they will recover the funds from the different resources. That is what subrogation. Next one is principle of losses of minimization. Okay, this particular principle says that you should not be careful by having the insurance. I have an insurance, I need not to take care of my property. Such mentality should not be there. As a property of yours, okay, you have to take care of your property and you should try your maximum extent to minimize the losses. Okay, whatever the losses you suffered, that should be minimized. Okay, so here this particular principle says that you must try to minimize the losses if you suffered. That is what the principles of minimization says. The last principle is the principle of causa proxima or proximate cause. So under this principle, the proximate cause is the one. It is a one. This particular principle says that the proximate cause is one which is insured against the insurance company is bound to pay the compensation. Say for example, the loss of insured property, you have suffered the loss. Okay, that can be caused, the loss is caused due to the more than various reasons you have suffered the loss. Okay, the property is insured against the some cost. Say for example, you have made a insurance, okay, on a property, you have suffered the loss. Okay, the loss is due to the short circuit. Okay, you have suffered the loss due to the short circuits, but you had made a agreement with the insurance company that if my goods or my property is destroyed, or I suffer losses due to the fire and due to the theft, this is the agreement you have made. Okay, the property may be insured against some causes but not against the all the causes. Only on few causes you have made a agreement, but you will not mention all the causes in the agreement. Say for example, you have suffered the losses due to the short circuits. In such case you are not going to get any amount from the insurance company. Whatever the causes you have mentioned, what is the cause you have mentioned in the agreement, if such thing is happened, then only you can claim from, you can receive compensation from the insurance company, otherwise no. In such case, the proximate cause, okay, you have to find out due to which reason, due to the which cost I have suffered losses. In such case, you have to find out the direct cause or the nearest cause of losses. Okay, you have to find out the nearest cause of losses to be founded. That is what the proximate cause. If the proximate cause, proximate cause is one against which you have insured, the insurance company is bound to pay the compensation, otherwise they are not going to pay. That is what proximate causes. First principle is utmost good faith, insurable interest, indemnity, contribution, subrogation, losses of minimization, and the proximate cause. These are the 7 principles, very important from the point of your examination. Next one is a type of insurance. In the type of insurance we have two types. One is in life insurance, another one is general insurance. About the types of insurance we will discuss in a next video. Whatever the doubts you have, you can